and welcome to 10 Minutes on Productivity. We've got 10 minutes on productivity, but before we start, there's a couple of things that we need to get off the table. First thing is, we've distilled this down to just the principles. That way, if you've got a big business, you can apply these principles. If you've got a small business, you can apply them as well. The size of your business makes no difference. You've got the principles that can be adapted and applied to suit your own individual operation. Second thing is, ask yourself better questions, or if you like, ask yourself the right question. For instance, what can I take out and apply from this is probably a far better question than how much of this do I already know. Ask yourself, how am I going to get the most value for the 10 minutes that I'm investing here? Third thing is the 72-hour rule. The idea of doing something new in your business after 72 hours of hearing something new goes to almost zero if nothing is implemented. A challenge for you today is to do one thing in the next 72 hours to make productivity better than it is at the moment. So what we're talking about here is what your team can produce in saleable output compared to what is being paid out in wages and salaries. That's what we mean by productivity. So the problem with productivity is that wages consistently go out every week regardless of how inconsistently sales come in. When you're busy, a team will be productive, and when you're not, you still pay the same wages. Basically, you're battling Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law states that work expands to fill the time available for its completion. And the more staff you have, the more difficult this gets. You know you can be productive, but getting others to be the same is a problem. And also, the problem is often defining what is meant by completion. That's something we'll come back to later. So what we want to show you is one simple model that addresses Parkinson's law that can be applied to every business. Once you get it, it will make the process of how to deal with this much easier. Some of what we show you, you'll already be doing, but there's always opportunities in every business to improve, because that's the nature of people and teams. So, at the end of 10 minutes here, you'll have a 3-step plan to build productivity in your business. We know that when this is done right, we get at least a 10% increase to productivity with our clients. And we know you can get the same no matter what size your business is. So what you'll see is something that, when done correctly, will get everyone going in the same direction. And that's what we're after here, getting all your people going in the same direction. So how are we going to approach this? Well, the best way to do it is to just dive in. So let's go for it and have a look. Here's a question. What types of people are in your business? There's basically 2 types of people in every business. The people that make something for you to sell, and the people that sell something that you make. Often in small business, there are people doing both, and that is typically the owner. There's also accounts people and admin, of course, but if a business is adding staff, they are there to make more of what you're selling or to sell more of what you're making. So the salesperson in your business is the one that deals with the customers pre-sale and influences that process. And then you have the technicians that make the stuff that you sell. I hope that's clear. If it's not, stick around and we'll show you how to get more clarity on this a bit later. Now to the technicians. If you're dealing with these guys, that is the people who make things in your business, then dealing with them in terms of productivity means it must be done within a time frame, because it's really difficult to change the selling price if the cost of labour blows out. I mean, if your pricing indicates that your labour cost of production is 2 hours per widget, and for some reason you have a guy taking twice that time to create the same widget, you've just doubled your labour cost per item. Now that's not a good scenario, especially as that additional cost is coming out of your pocket. And for the sales guys, you need to have a sales volume at the right margin to justify their wages and keep your production team in work, and of course grow sales. So here's a question about the time frame number for the tech guy and the sales volume number for the sales guy. Does anyone know this number? Now, it might take a bit of work to figure this out, but they need to know the number, and you also need to know this number, because there's money made or lost in knowing and managing this number. So if you have technicians in your business, they should know the chargeable hours per day per technician. If you've got salespeople, they should know what's their average client value or strike rate or gross margin contribution or conversion rate. If you've got quotes, you should know numbers like what's the value of confirmed work that you've got. What should that number be? So getting the most meaningful number to work on here is one of the primary takeouts from today. So it's a big deal. And if you need a hand to come up with the most relevant number to measure here, just look out for how to do that at the end of this video. Because getting the right number is a very important step in productivity management. The big difference between sports teams and businesses is that in sports, there is always a scoreboard. Business should have a scoreboard as well, even if the score is not as obvious. Now, once you've got this number, what's next? Well, your team should be able to come up with the top 2 or 3 ideas to improve the number, or 2 or 3 reasons that cause the number to be what it is. And remember, it's got to be something they can do something about. Now, plenty of business owners know the reasons why and the reasons why not. You'll probably already know if you have a scheduling issue, or a systems issue, or a coordination problem, but that's not the point. It's not enough for you to know what these issues are. Your team needs to know their number, and you must expect them to contribute reasons why and ideas on how to make the number go the right way. If you don't think you can do this with your team, perhaps they make it all your fault, or you've already tried it and it didn't work so well, then perhaps you've got a communication problem. Now that means the culture in your business is not what it could be, and culture is always a function of leadership, and that's the business owner, because the buck's got to stop somewhere, right? Now look, there's no judgment here. It doesn't matter where you're at or what you're up to, there's always ways to improve. But the lack of communication, that will show up in your productivity numbers. So whatever your position, even if you've got a great level of communication in your business, here's how you can make a start to get it even better. Start with the numbers. You've got to figure out what number you're going to collect and feed back to your team. Or, if you can get your team to engage with it by getting them to fill in a feedback form, something that starts with a conversation around a number. Second thing, you have to have a catch-up with them. A meeting where you discuss the feedback and talk about how to improve the number once you've decided what metrics to keep score. This needs to be a regular catch-up, otherwise the accountability will fail. Even if it's only monthly. As long as it's there every month, it's a start. There's a saying that says, don't let best get in the way of better. Maybe go external. Often it's much easier if you get someone external to your organisation to facilitate this. The bottom line is, you've got to find a way to engage with your team and with a number that means something to them. In all the endless resources produced on time management, the morning routine reigns supreme as a focus point. No matter what size your business is, the first hour at work should be super productive because it sets the pace for the whole day. So if you're the boss and the day relies on the vans getting out to beat the traffic or the compressor being turned on or computers booted up, make sure it happens. Also, think about what you procrastinate over. Everyone avoids something. Get it done in the first couple of hours. If it's making phone calls to prospects or doing your quote follow-ups or whatever it is that you need to get going, just get it done. Get a productive start to the day and observe how the rest of your team start their day. The morning routine and the way things start sets the pace for the entire day. Often, the team in your business will take the benchmark from you in terms of how productive you are. The morning routine is a really great place to start when you're looking at productivity. So what are your takeouts from what we've just talked about? Hope you've been writing some notes. First stop, find a really meaningful number. Something that means something to the people who are responsible for making sales in your business and the people who are responsible for making things in your business. Find a meaningful number. Second thing, get a scoreboard. Once you've figured out the number that your team want to keep score of, get a scoreboard so that they can see it. Third thing, start a conversation. Start a conversation with them about their feedback and about the number and about how to make that number go the right way. So start the conversation. Just remember, this is a gradual process, but it starts from taking a first step. Just remember what we said at the start. The 72-hour rule. Do something in the next 72 hours to take a step forward and you'll make a start. Wait 72 hours and the likelihood of change drops off to almost zero. Life just gets in the way. In fact, in the next 10 minutes, the easiest way to get a productivity hit is by having a look at what you can do from here. If you want to make some changes and don't want to do it on your own, then click on the link at the end of this video. There you'll be able to book an appointment for a 10-minute phone call. That way we'll be able to ask you a few questions about your business and see if we can help. If we can, we will. And if we can't, we'll be able to point you in the right direction. Main thing is to do something that takes you a step closer to the business that you ultimately want to be running. So that's it on productivity. Thanks for watching.